if you have a disagreement with someone and you distrust them, how do you portray that distrust you have in them through your communication without offending them? Rusty, there is no way to tell somebody that you distrust them without offending them. So get this. Let's cover that question right away. You can't do it, so stop looking for a way. Having said that, the real question here is, why would you want to tell somebody that you distrust them? How does that serve you, or how does that serve that other person? Here's what I would suggest doing: a cost-benefit analysis. What would I get if I do XYZ, and what would the price that I would have to pay be? For example, let's say that I make it clear to somebody, I don't trust you, and I want you to know I don't trust you, and I disagree with what you're saying because I don't trust you. What's the benefit that we would get from that besides feeding our ego? Anytime we are feeding our ego to be right, there's never going to be a win-win that we can achieve. And it's our goal and our obligation, really, as savvy communicators, to find that win-win. So that cannot be done when we are simply choosing to be right. Remember that we can always choose to be right, or we can choose to be effective. We can choose to be right, or we can choose to be kind. So that said, instead of going down that path, what I suggest you do is practice habit number 5 from the 7 Habits. Habit number 5, 7 Habits, is by Stephen Covey, by the way. I'm going to cover that in one of these lessons because it's really quick. We can cover the 7 Habits really quickly. And it's a great communication program. Habit number 5 is seek first to understand. Studies have shown, and the studies will be cited in the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I'm not going to cite them here. Studies have shown that people who are effective in this world, who affect change, who get people to follow them, who lead productive lives, are those who know to seek first to understand other people, then to be understood by those people. It is not in our nature to do that, however. It is in our nature to think, hey, wait, I have something in my head and I want you to understand it. But instead, if we stop and think, you know what I'm going to do is try to understand you, why you think that way, what's going on in your brain. And then after I have done that and truly think, I understand you now, then if I choose to do so, I can seek to get you to understand me. But that's step 2. Step 1 is to seek to understand. And if you do that with this person, Rusty, what will happen is you will truly create a win-win if you seek to understand them. Why do we need to tell somebody when we don't distrust them? First of all, that's not in our best interests to put our cards up, face up on the table and say, just so you know, I don't believe a word you're saying. That doesn't serve us. It serves us to gain other people's trust. And we can do so by at least not demonstrating that we distrust them and disagree with everything that we say. By the way, just as a little caveat, remember, if you want to verbally express that you don't agree with somebody, a really savvy way to do it is simply talk about your point of view. For example, Rusty, I can understand why you'd see it this way. I simply see it differently. I can understand how you see it. I simply see it another way. But if you, instead of trying to get somebody to realize that you don't trust them, if you instead try to get to understand them, really understand who they are, where they're coming from, why they are thinking the way that they're thinking, you never know what will happen when you do that. That is what actually opens the door to possibilities. You might discover that there's some grain of truth to whatever it is that they believe. And you're creating a win-win. You are honoring them and showing them, I am a respectful, honorable person who's going to listen to you. And even if I don't agree with you and don't trust you, I'm not going to voice that. And that is going to strengthen our relationship. And that is a win for you because you feel as though you are being honored and respected. And that is a win for me because what I give to my brother, I give to myself. So if I'm honoring and respecting you, I am honoring and respecting myself. And that person will honor and respect me more. Only in doing that do I have the possibility of possibly transforming that person so that maybe in the future I could trust them a little bit. I could agree with them on certain things, but the only way I'm going to achieve that win-win is if I first open myself up to the possibility of understanding them. I don't need to agree with somebody to understand them. And it's during that process that we tend to have those aha moments where there's people that we all have them, I've had them, where I think, I don't trust a word you say. There's something wrong with you. And then I open myself up to learning about them. And as I'm doing so, I can't help but in the back of my mind think, I know you. But all of a sudden they say something that makes me say, what? Oh, now I get it. I understand a little bit more why you are the way you are. Wow. And we have these moments of epiphany where we think, now I understand. And that is another win-win. I have a new perspective into human behavior. And that person now and I have a stronger bond. That's always going to be a win-win for me. And maybe that person might have something to teach me. Even a broken clock is right twice a day, they say, right? So, Rusty, open yourself up to that possibility. Practice habit number 5, understand them. Do your cost-benefit analysis and ask yourself, what am I going to get out of telling somebody or making it clear to them in any way? I don't trust you, I never will, and I don't agree with you, and I never will. Nothing. Instead, try to be open to that person, listen to what they have to say, seek to understand them, and watch what happens then. Because, Rusty, your distrust of them and the feelings that you have where you want to feed your ego to make sure that they know what you think about them is not about them. That's about you. So that is your answer, Rusty. And make sure, everybody, to send in your letters to me, info@danO'ConnorTraining.com, or send me a video message. You can do that on YouTube at our YouTube channel. Power Diversity is our YouTube channel, or just look me up under Dan O'Connor Trainer. You'll find me. And I look forward to your further questions, guys. I like this mail call section of the week. I hope you do too. Send me your feedback. All right, now we are getting into our persuasion strategy for the week. And our persuasion strategy for the week is simple, yet it's effective and profound. To get buy-in when there is a change, either at work or at home, you need to set a new policy, you need to establish some new rules, you need to do something differently. We all know that change is not something that people easily accept, either at work or at home. The number one key to getting people to buy in, or to get people to buy in to change, or to your new ideas or your new way of doing things, is to get them to feel as though their voice is heard during the decision-making process. When you're in the process of making a change in yourself, in your home, in your office, ask people, hey, this is going to be affecting all of us, so I'd like to get your input. Use questions such as, what do you think about? How do you feel about? What would you think about? What are your ideas on? Ask questions that start with those lead-in lines, because studies show that, and this was a Stanford study recently, that whether or not people's ideas are actually implemented when the change is made is irrelevant. The thing that gets them to buy into change is that they feel as though they were respected and their voice was heard during the decision-making process. So as long as you do that, then you can go ahead and make any decisions you like. Isn't that great? People just want to feel as though they're not invisible, as though their voices are heard and are counted. So the next time you need to get buy-in for your change, remember, just ask people, what do you think about? How do you feel about? I know this is going to be affecting you, so what are your thoughts on? And then you might get, by the way, some great ideas that'll help you make some good decisions along the way. But even if you don't, you will get much more buy-in for your ideas simply because you said to those around you, you are seen and your voice is heard. Communication principle. And now we have come to our communication principle of the week. And it is, oh, I like this one. You don't have to create the solution all the time. You just have to find it. Let's talk about that. This week, you're going to have some challenge that you will face that you're going to think you need to come up with a solution for, that you need to create a solution for. Sometimes that's the case, but often what happens is, it is said that in the universe, the moment things start to go off track, at that very moment something goes wrong, for example, with global warming, let's say, the moment something goes wrong in nature or in the universe, at that very moment, the process of correction instantly starts. As soon as there is a problem in nature, in the universe, the moment the problem occurs, at that same moment, the solution starts to manifest and the process of auto-correction begins, because the universe really is auto-correcting. The universe is self-correcting. We don't have to fix it. Many of us take the responsibility on ourselves to be the fixers of all, the fixers of the whole universe. This week, you're going to have a problem and you're going to need a solution. But instead of trying to create a solution, remember, the universe is self-correcting. So instead of trying to create that solution, look for it. Many times when we look back in retrospect and on our lives, we realize that the solutions to the problems that we had, we didn't create. We recognized, we saw them, we found them. We didn't create solutions. They were already there. So that's what I would like you to do this week. Instead of trying to create a solution, the solutions are probably going to be right in front of you for whatever challenge it is that you're facing. So sit back, relax, recognize that, let go a little bit, be open and ready to receive the message that's being sent to you, the solution that's already right there in front of you. We can't be open and ready to see solutions or find solutions that are right in front of us when we're too busy with our own agenda in our head, thinking, no, the solution has to come from me. I have to fix everything. This is all my own. I'm doomed. No, what am I going to do? Look for the solution that already sits in front of you. Remember, I love fairy tales because fairy tales have been around forever. And they really do have, the reason they keep being passed on from generation to generation to generation is because the stories that they tell have a very profound meaning when you look into them. That's why they resonate with us. For example, in Cinderella, she thought she was doomed. She couldn't go to the ball. She was dressed in rags. All of her sisters were mean to her and left her there. It was in her own house, but she was being treated like a slave. And many of us can relate to that one. And she thought, oh, boo-hoo, woe is me. I can't go to the ball. Everyone's going to have fun and someone will get married and it won't be me. And what ended up happening was when her fairy godmother appeared, remember, her fairy godmother didn't say, I'm going to manifest a carriage for you and manifest a dress for you and manifest horsemen for you. That's not what she said. Hey, Cindy, look, the carriage is right there. You're just not looking at it right. The horsemen are already right there. Your ball gown, you're already wearing it. You're just not looking at things right. So let me help you with that. I'm going to give you some magic words. And all she did was give her a bibbity bobbity boo. And these things transformed that were already right in front of her because she had somebody manifest in front of her and say, hey, look, sister, you're just not looking at it through the right eyes. And all you need are some magic phrases to see things the right way. So I try to help give you those magic phrases. And you'll notice that, again, in many of these stories, even in the stories, for example, the Bible, I wish I was more familiar with other books like the Quran and other books on religion, but I'm most familiar with the Bible. And I know that, for example, even Jesus, if you read the Bible, and I'm not, again, this is not a spiritual podcast or video, but Jesus didn't say to people, oh, I'm going to cure you. He said, you're not sick to begin with. He didn't say, oh, I'm going to raise this person from the dead. He said, that person's not dead. Get up. You're just asleep. That's the type of thing he consistently said. He said, you're not looking at things the right way. You're not sick. You're not dead. You're not poor. This isn't water. It's wine. That's what he did. And that resonates with us on so many different levels, whether it's a fairy tale you're reading or a religious book that you're reading. There's something in us that knows what we're looking for is already right in front of us. We're just not seeing it correctly. So this week, when you have a challenge, remember, just give it a bibbity bobbity boo and watch how you'll start to see things. If you let go, you'll start to see that the solutions are already there. You don't need to create them. You just need to find them because the universe, as well as your life, is self-correcting. So with that said, go for it this week. Speak in public. Remember, if you have a challenge with somebody and you want them to know how you feel about something, do your cost-benefit analysis and try to find that win-win. Seek first to understand. Remember that if you have a change coming up and you want to get people's buy-in, just ask them how they feel about it. And remember your principle of the week. Don't try to create the solution. Just find it. This has been Dan O'Connor. Remember to send me your questions at info@training.com or your video messages. I love those at our YouTube channel. And this is Dan O'Connor. Oh, buddy's taking a nap. By the way, in a couple of weeks, I'm going to have a new pal around the house for you. So look forward to meeting Maggie. She's going to be Bug life partner. So I thank everybody for joining us. Next week, we have some awesome stuff for you. So I can't wait to see you then. This is Dan O'Connor signing off.